right now, as we sit here, as we breathe, as our hearts beat steadily in our chests? What about those whose hearts have stopped? What about those who have stepped beyond the veil of life? Are they watching us? Are they speaking in whispers we fail to hear? Or are they simply gone? We all carry the weight of those we've lost. Their names echo in our minds. Their faces visit us in dreams. Their voices seem to call from the past. But what if they are closer than we think? What if death is not an end, but a transformation, an existence we cannot yet comprehend? Tonight, I invite you to step into a question that has haunted humanity since the beginning of time. What are the dead doing right now? Are they at peace? Are they lingering in the spaces we once shared? Or are they waiting for us? What are the dead doing right now? That's a question that lingers in the mind of every person who has ever loved, lost, and stood in silence before a grave, searching for an answer. It's a question as old as time, one that has haunted philosophers, theologians, and ordinary men and women alike. Because death, no matter how much we try to ignore it, remains the one certainty we all must face. But is it truly the end? Or is it merely a doorway into something greater? There are those who believe that when we close our eyes for the last time in this life, we awaken in another. Some say it is a place of peace, a home prepared beyond this world, where suffering no longer exists and joy has no limit. Others imagine a vast and infinite journey where the soul continues to grow, learn, and move through the mysteries of the universe. And yet there are those who say nothing lies beyond, that death is a silence so deep, so absolute, that even memory fades into the void. But I ask you, does that seem possible? When we look at the wonder of existence, when we see the complexity of life, can we truly believe that it all ends in nothingness? Consider this: we are more than just flesh and blood. We are not merely physical bodies moving through time until we wear out and disappear. Within each of us is something eternal, something that cannot be measured by science or held in human hands. It is our consciousness, our soul, our very being, something deeper than the beating of our hearts or the thoughts in our minds. It is what makes us who we are, and if we as living souls carry something eternal within us, then death cannot be the end. We have glimpses of this truth, don't we? Across the world, across every culture, there are stories, countless stories, of those who have stood on the very edge of death and come back to tell of what they saw. They speak of light, of warmth, of voices calling their names. Some describe a feeling of indescribable peace, as if they had been carried into a love so complete, so overwhelming, that no words could contain it. Others say they met those who had gone before them, mothers, fathers, friends, waiting just beyond the threshold. And there are those who tell of something else, something terrifying, a place of regret and sorrow, a place where the weight of one's choices can no longer be ignored. Skeptics dismiss these accounts, saying they are merely the tricks of a dying brain, the desperate grasping of a mind refusing to let go. But how can so many people from different ages, cultures, and beliefs tell such similar stories? How can their experiences be so vivid, so life-altering, that they return changed, unable to see the world as they once did? Could it be that in those moments they were given a glimpse, a fleeting glance of what lies beyond? And even if we put aside the testimonies of those who have brushed against eternity, the question still remains: why do we as human beings long for something more? Why is it that no matter how much we try to build our lives on the things of this world, on wealth, success, pleasure, we still feel that something is missing? It is because we were not made for this world alone. Deep within us, there is an awareness, a quiet knowing that this life is only part of the journey, that beyond what our eyes can see, beyond what our hands can touch, there is something greater waiting for us. If death were truly the end, why does every human heart fight against it? Why do we grieve so deeply, not just because of absence, but because something within us refuses to accept that love can simply vanish, that a life so full of meaning can suddenly become nothing? No, we do not weep merely because we miss the ones we've lost. We weep because we know, whether we admit it or not, that they still exist, somewhere beyond our reach. The question is not whether there is something beyond death. The question is what it is, and what it means for us. Because if life continues, then so do we. If the soul endures, then every choice we make, every step we take, every moment we live matters beyond what we can see. And if we believe that, if we truly believe that the dead are not lost but alive in a way we cannot yet comprehend, then the weight of this life changes. It means we are not just wandering through existence, waiting for an inevitable end. It means we are moving towards something, towards someone, toward the greatest reality of all. What are the dead doing right now? Perhaps the real question we should be asking is, when our time comes, where will we be? What are the dead doing right now? It's a question that stirs something deep inside us. We wonder if they're resting, watching, waiting, or perhaps even closer than we think. But maybe the better question is, how do the dead continue to shape our lives? Because whether we realize it or not, they are not gone, not truly. Their presence lingers, not just in memory, but in ways we sometimes fail to recognize. Think about it. Every one of us carries the influence of those who have come before. We speak words we once heard from the lips of a parent or a grandparent. We make choices based on lessons taught to us by those whose hands once guided ours. The values we hold, the traditions we cherish, even the way we see the world, all of it has been shaped by those who are no longer here. The dead are not just in the past, they are woven into the very fabric of our present. Have you ever caught yourself saying something and realized it sounded exactly like someone you lost? Have you ever walked into a familiar place and for just a moment felt their presence so strongly that it was as if they had never left? That is not just memory. That is something deeper. That is a reminder that their lives were not in vain, that what they did, what they believed, what they stood for, it all still mattered. We often think of death as an ending, a full stop, a closing of the book. But what if death is more like a comma, a pause between what was and what is still unfolding? Because the impact of a life does not cease when the body grows still. A life well lived continues to ripple outward, touching hearts, shaping futures, echoing through time in ways that we may never fully understand. Consider the stories that still move us, the words of those long gone that still inspire. Think of the books written by hands that have long turned to dust, the music composed by those who can no longer hear their own melodies, the art left behind by souls whose eyes have closed to this world. These things do not die. They remain, whispering to us, stirring something within us, reminding us that though the body is temporary, the soul leaves fingerprints that never fade. And what about the personal legacies, the quiet ones, the ones not recorded in history books or museums? The kindness of a mother who loved fiercely and sacrificed without complaint. The wisdom of a father who taught not just with words but with actions. The laughter of a friend who made life a little brighter, who reminded us that joy was worth embracing, even in the hardest moments. These lives, these souls, they are not gone. They remain in us, in the way we love, in the way we give, in the way we choose to carry forward the light they left behind. But is that all? Are they only alive in memory? Or is there more? There are moments, unexplainable moments, when we feel their presence. A dream so vivid it feels more like a visit. A sudden, overwhelming sense of peace in a place they once loved. A quiet voice in our hearts urging us toward the right path, just as they would have in life. Some would call these things coincidences, but are they? Or are they glimpses of a reality we cannot yet fully see? Perhaps the dead are not as far away as we think. Perhaps they are nearer than we dare to believe. The unseen cloud of witnesses, as some have called them, watching, praying, hoping that we make the most of the time we have. Maybe they are whispering to us in ways we struggle to recognize, reminding us not to waste our days on things that do not matter, urging us to love deeper, to forgive sooner, to live with a kind of purpose that leaves a mark beyond our own years. And if they are watching, what do they see? Do they see us honoring their lives with the way we live ours? Do they see us carrying on the good they started? Or have we let their wisdom fade, their lessons be forgotten? Because while we may not yet know exactly what they are doing right now, one thing is certain: what we do still matters. The way we live, the choices we make, the love we give, it all continues the story they began. So if you have lost someone, if there is an empty chair at the table, a voice you long to hear, a hand you wish you could hold again, know this: they are not truly gone. They live on in the way you carry their love forward, in the way you let their life shape yours. They are part of you. They always will be. What are the dead doing right now? Maybe the real question is, what are we doing with the time we have left? What are the dead doing right now? It's a question that has shaped human history, not just in personal reflection, but in the very fabric of cultures and civilizations. Every people, every nation, every faith has sought to answer it in some way. And though the details may differ, one truth remains: the dead are not forgotten. They are not erased. They exist in our minds, our hearts, and perhaps in ways we cannot yet fully comprehend. They still exist beyond what our eyes can see. From the earliest days of humanity, people have believed that the dead continue on in some form. Ancient civilizations built grand tombs, pyramids, and shrines, not as mere memorials, but as places where the living could connect with those who had passed on. They believed the dead watched, listened, and sometimes even influenced the world they left behind. Many saw death not as an end, but as a passage into another existence, a realm just beyond the reach of the living. In some traditions, the dead are thought to be near, watching over their loved ones, guiding, protecting, and sometimes even intervening. There are those who believe that the spirits of the departed remain close, lingering in the places they once knew, attached to the lives they once lived. Some feel their presence in moments of deep need, in times of great decision, or in the quiet hours of the night when the world is still and the heart is open. Stories abound of people experiencing dreams so vivid, so real, that they wake with an unshakable feeling that they were visited by someone who has gone before them. Is it imagination, or is it something more? Other traditions teach that the dead are on a journey, moving forward, passing through realms we cannot yet see. Some believe they enter a place of rest, a waiting place, where the soul prepares for what comes next. Others envision a moment of judgment, where one's life is weighed, and the path beyond is determined. Some believe in reincarnation, that the soul returns again and again, learning, growing, and moving toward a greater understanding. And then there are those who speak of a paradise, a place of peace and joy, where suffering is no more and love is perfected. But there are also warnings. Warnings from those who say that not every soul finds rest, that there are those who in life rejected truth, rejected love, rejected the very thing that could have led them to peace, and now they find themselves separated, longing yet unable to reach what they once ignored. Some describe this as a place of darkness, of regret, where every missed opportunity, every selfish choice, every hardened moment is felt in full weight. The question we must ask ourselves is, what is true? Because if the dead are not simply gone, if they are still somewhere, whether near or far, whether watching or waiting, then this life we are living now has consequences beyond what we see. The way we live, the choices we make, the way we love or fail to love, it all matters. There is something within us that knows this already. That's why throughout history, people have honored their ancestors, seeking to keep their memory alive. It's why in cultures all over the world, rituals exist to acknowledge the presence of those who have gone before. Whether it is lighting candles, offering prayers, setting aside a day of remembrance, or speaking their names aloud so they are never forgotten, there is a universal understanding that the dead are not completely gone, that somehow, some way, they are still part of our story. And if that is true, if they are still aware, still connected to us, then what do they see? Do they see us honoring them, living in a way that carries forward what they stood for? Do they see us walking the path they hoped we would walk? Or have we allowed the noise of this world to drown out the wisdom they left behind? It is a humbling thought. If the dead are watching, if they are aware, then our lives are not lived in isolation. We are part of something greater, something eternal. And perhaps they are not just watching, but waiting for us to wake up, to see what truly matters, to understand that this life is not just about what we can gain, but about what we can give. What are the dead doing right now? That question carries more weight than we sometimes realize. We wonder where they are, what they see, what they feel. But maybe the most sobering thought of all is this: one day we will be where they are. One day others will ask the same question about us. It is easy to push that thought away, to live as if life will stretch on forever. But deep down we know the truth. Life moves quickly. The days turn into years, the years into decades, and before we know it, the time we thought we had is gone. We make plans, chase dreams, build our lives, and then suddenly we find ourselves looking back, wondering where it all went. And the greatest tragedy of all is not that life moves fast. It's that so many people never stop to ask the most important question: what comes next? We prepare for everything else in life. We prepare for careers, for marriages, for retirement. We plan ahead, make decisions, build security for the years we expect to have. But how many people prepare for the one certainty that none of us can escape? How many stop and ask, am I ready for what comes after this life? Because whether we think about it or not, we are all moving toward that moment. And when it comes, when we take our final breath and step into eternity, what then? Some say there is nothing beyond this world, that death is the end, that we simply fade into nothingness. But that answer doesn't sit right with us, does it? It doesn't explain the longing we feel for something more. It doesn't explain why love doesn't die, why our hearts ache for those we have lost, why we instinctively believe that life must have meaning beyond the few short years we spend on this earth. If everything simply ends, then what was the point? Why do we hunger for purpose? Why do we search for truth? Others believe in an afterlife, but live as though it doesn't matter. They assume that when the time comes, everything will work out, that there's nothing to worry about. But eternity is not something to be taken lightly. If this life is only the beginning, if what we do here determines what comes next, then how we live now matters more than we can possibly comprehend. We do not get to choose whether or not we will die. That decision is not ours to make. But we do get to choose how we live. And what we do with the time we have will echo into eternity. Have you ever stood in a cemetery and read the names on the gravestones? Each one represents a life, a person who once walked this earth, who laughed and cried, who had hopes and fears, who faced struggles and triumphs, and now they are gone. But if we could speak to them, if we could ask them one question, don't you think they would say, do not waste the time you have? Do not live for things that will not last. Because one day, sooner than you think, you will be here too. There is nothing wrong with enjoying the good things of life. There is nothing wrong with success, with ambition, with building a future. But if that is all we focus on, if we spend our years chasing things that will pass away,